I just watched the Royal Rumble 2022, and every year I probably look forward to the Royal Rumble than actual WrestleMania. And what can I say? This Rumble started really well, and it's yeah. I think this could be the first time that the women's Royal Rumble is better than the men's. The men's Royal Rumble was, you can literally skip 25 entrants, which is like absolute boring. Like, there's no rivalries between the wrestlers. There is little animosity. A lot of the wrestlers, to me, have the same personality, just like, with different outfits on, essentially. There's a lot of tag teams that just basically the same characters with different like outfits on, right? I thought it was pretty boring, and then it was just like there was some baffling things. I mean, I don't watch Raw anymore, so maybe like some of you guys can tell me what's going on. But like, outside of AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, who started the Rumble, which was really exciting, which kicked off the Rumble with a big bang, and then the rest, like the next 25 entrants was just like, I was just like, who the hell is this guy? And literally I was like, who is this guy? And a lot of the guys, especially, there was just like, there's just nothing special about a lot of these guys. There's no, like, I can't tell you who's feuding with who. There's no story between it. Like, the commentators hasn't really talked about any of this. I don't know. There's not much like to talk about. In old Rumbles, they used to, every time someone enters a Rumble, the commentary will give you a bit of backstory about who they're feuding with, who's their rivalry, which title would they probably aspire to challenge if they win the Royal Rumble. There's none of that for like the first 25 entrants, because obviously the commentators knows none of these people have any chance of winning the Rumble. And it was just like, I thought it was really, really poor. And also, I thought it was really baffling as well. Like Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, apparently they're like a tag team or something. So they both have the same entrance music and the same really, really crappy, really shit entrance music. I'm like, Bobby Roode has one of the most iconic, most recognizable, glorious entrance. That's gone. It's just like some random song that doesn't even sound good. And then to my surprise as well, Dolph Ziggler, came out to the same music. I thought that was a mistake on the Titantron. I was like, did they just play somebody else's music over Dolph Ziggler? And apparently they're like a tag team or something, because he does say like DZ on the music. And then it was just, I can't believe it. Like, Dolph Ziggler, like, his music is so iconic. Everybody knows Dolph Ziggler. I couldn't even believe, like, it's just the fact that, like, for about, a lot of times with Royal Rumble, you hear the music, you're like, yes, I know who that is. I know Seth Rollins is coming out. I know who's coming out next. For the first, like, literally 25 entrances, I had no idea who they are. Obviously, except for AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. All the rest of it, I had no idea who they are. Even the ones that I do know, they changed their music. Like Baron Corbin, they changed his music. I didn't know who that was until I saw his face, and then the commentator announced him, and I was like, oh, so it's just baffling to me why they changed these people's music. And like, again, when these people came out, like, what's the story with Baron Corbin? Like, they call him Happy Corbin. Like, yeah, okay, who is he feuding with? He seems to just be feuding with everyone. Just throwing everybody out with his mate. And then he's like, the Rey Mysterio's son comes in. Who is he supposed to be feuding with? Like, if he wins the Royal Rumble, who is he gonna challenge the title? Like, what's his aspirations? None of that. And then it was just like baffling. And then, not to mention there's a lot of these tag teams. They have the same entrance music. So you hear like the same entrances again and again multiple times in like, 5 minutes or 10 minutes duration, right? Like, I thought it was just, like, the first 25 minutes was awful. And then he kind of, like, kicked up a little bit when, like, the bigger names started coming, like, Sheamus came in. That kind of, like, started to be a bit better. And then they had Johnny Knoxville in there somewhere just as the filler. And that was, like, the best part of the... Johnny Knoxville came in, like, 10th or something. That was, like, the best part of the first, like, 25 entrances. Is Johnny Knoxville, who's not even a wrestler, right? And that tells you how bad this was. And then Drew McIntyre came in, someone who looked like... Who could... I mean, I wasn't following. Apparently, he's injured. I think this tried to go for that John Cena feeling, but it didn't really work. He just, like... I didn't know he was injured, to be honest. And then they're just like, oh, he's injured. He's supposed to be out for a year. And then they didn't really... I mean, it didn't convince me that he was supposed to be out for like a year. He looked like maybe he just had like niggles. He just missed it a couple weeks or something. Anyway, he comes in. And then again, there was like no story. What's going on? They didn't really explain what's going on. What his story was. He throws out Baron Corbin and his mate. I mean, maybe... I guess they had a feud there somehow. And then he kind of like beats him up. And then it's just like... I mean, and just the thing is, Baron Corbin and his mate didn't really sell it. Like, that surprised that, he supposedly they took him out for a year, took out Drew McIntyre for a year, but they didn't even look like that surprised that he's back. Like, it was just like, oh, let's just take him out, and then they both get thrown out and then get beaten up outside. So it was just like, really, really bad. And then finally, the thing starts to kick up a little bit when the New Day came out. And it was really disappointing. I saw like, very lackluster already. And Kofi Kingston comes in. And the commentators like hyping it up. Like, ooh, Kofi Kingston's highlight reel. Like, I was expecting a bit of highlights from Kofi as well. I was like, finally we're going to see something a bit more exciting. He gets thrown out and looked like he like saved himself on the barricade. And then his foot touched the ground. And it's like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a botch, okay? They planned for this because the camera, like usually if they try to botch it, it's not a botch, but he just like blatantly planted his foot on the ground. So he didn't even save himself. So there was no highlight reel from, like, it was disappointing enough. And there was no highlight from the highlight reel guy from, from Kofi Kingston. And then I was super disappointed there as well. And then I think Big E came in later, and then Shane O'Mac came back. And that was like, I was like, okay, like, come on, like, whatever. I was like, whatever. So that's the surprise return to Shane O'Mac. And then, I don't even know, is this supposed to be a heel? Is this supposed to be a babyface? I'm pretty sure he's a heel, right? Like whatever. And then, finally, I think who was after Shane O'Mac? Like the 28th, finally, like the 28th, Randy Orton comes in and he got a massive prop because he's, it's his hometown or something. So he's a massive cheer when he came out. And then he just like RKO'd everyone. Starting to look like a bit of a something's, happening. Finally, I can't remember, like, Rey Mysterio came out. Again, it took them like 28 entrances for the exciting things to happen. And then finally things are kind of like picking up. Number 30 comes out, Brock Lesnar, who just lost his title. He got screwed over by Roman. Comes in. And then, to be fair, Lesnar is so much more talented than everybody else in the roster. Except for, like, maybe a couple, right? He's so much better than most people. Like, 99% of the roster. Like, he makes... The way he just, like, tossing people over the rope, eliminating people, is just, like... He had to eliminate, like, 3 or 4 people. I don't know. I can't remember how many. He had, like... Everyone he eliminated, he used a different method, right? That's it, like every elimination was like unique for Lesnar. There's no like repeat of doing the same move, throwing someone over the top. Every elimination he did was unique. He eliminated like the bunny. And then that singer, Bunny came back. Apparently he's a wrestler now. He's like trying to challenge Roman, I guess. Anyway, so Lesnar came out, eliminated everyone. There was like so it was like, the Lesnar has eliminated has eliminated like performed unique eliminations by himself more than the first 25 eliminations. Like it was just, it was really really bad. So Lesnar won. That was kind of like the only kind of like highlight to the whole thing. And I thought it was... And then like the thing is, Omos came out and not gonna like, you know, like, yeah, like he took like the whole ring. Like he made 8 people or something, 8 other, like probably like 6 or 7 other wrestlers, probably not 8, like 6 or 7 other wrestlers look like absolute chumps, right? So these wrestlers already like don't really, to me anyway, don't really have an established name except for like AJ Styles. And then he comes out and took like all of them, trying to push him over, and like no one is like succeeding. Eventually like one extra person came in. I can't even remember who he was. Finally pushed him over. It took like 8 people to push him over the ropes. So like nobody gets over. They all look like chumps. And yeah, and it was just like one guy. Like, to be honest, sure, Omos looks big, but in terms of his actual physique, like actual size, I thought Big Show looked more impressive. So he just looks really tall, right? So like for me, like all these guys just look like chumps, like struggling to push this one guy over when, you know, Big Show was, you know, thrown over by Cesaro himself, right? And where's Cesaro? Why didn't he get a spot? Where is Cesaro? Anyway, so Cesaro wasn't in it at all. So yeah, the Men's Royal Rumble, for the first time ever, worse than the women's. So the Women's Royal Rumble was actually more exciting. There were stories between all the wrestlers. And there was a lot of like returns. A lot of returns when I talk about. Like a third of a Rumble was just like returns. The Bella Twins come back. But the only thing I do have to say about the Women's Royal Rumble is I do feel like I was watching a replay. I feel like I've seen the exact Rumble maybe like a couple years ago. I thought it was like the same entrances. Like the Bella Twins came out pretty much. And then, you know... and then Molly Holly or whatever her name was came out. But still, it was like unique. All the entrances was exciting. The best part about the entrance for the Women's Royal Rumble was when what's his name? Mickey James came out with the TNA title. Oh man, that I was like I could not believe that. That was good. I was like, oh my god. Imagine if she was like the final 2. She could go to WrestleMania with a TNA title. Oh man, I thought I was hyped. You know, that was good. Like, that was good. That was more exciting than the entire Men's Rumble. Okay? And then also there was just like, all these people came out. Like, Lita came out. Pretty sure there was Trish. Was it Lita? Yeah, Lita came out. I don't think Trish... No, Trish didn't come out, I think. Who was it? The Undertaker's wife, what's her name? Michelle McCool, I think she was in there. And there was that woman who was in the I think they call it the tax people, like the censorship people from like ages ago. There was like, you know, the people who was like, I think they called IRS, but they're like the censorship. They try to like censor like all the explicit stuff on TV. So she came out and she was like, yeah, I'm ashamed of all of you, and she just gets thrown over. So that was pretty good. Like, that was good. That was funny. That was entertaining. And that was like, you know, a bit of a nostalgia hit there as well. And then the big one, and I was really disappointed by this as well, because this was ruined by Dave Meltzer, the stupid idiots. Actually, it's probably not Dave Meltzer, but this was more like Brian Alvarez's fault. The Wrestling Observer spoiled this on their YouTube channel. I was just like, you know, YouTube was recommending me random stuff. In my front page, I turned on YouTube like yesterday, and it was just like a picture of Ronda Rousey in the Wrestling Observer feed, and it was like, Ronda Rousey, you know, contract update, and I immediately know she was coming back. So when she walked out, I was like, thanks for ruining it for me. So that was completely botched and ruined because of Dave Meltzer. So I am going to subscribe and block them, so I, at least for the WrestleMania season, so I don't get these spoilers. So that was super disappointing that I was spoiled, but it was still good to see Ronda Rousey coming back. She looked probably a little bit rusty, but still like really exciting. And it was just like, that like the stories between her and everybody, the Shayna Baszler came in. Like that's the thing that was completely lacking in the men's rumble. Like there was a lot of story minutes, like between women. Like, there's like, you know, rivalries, old rivalries. There's like new rivalries. There's like, you know, jealousy between women. There's like, you know, and there wasn't like, I don't think, was there even tag team in women's division? Is there a women's tag team? I don't even know, because I don't remember hearing like repetitive music entrances. So like the men's rumble was just like the same music coming back quite a bit, whereas the women's one, everyone had their own music. At least I can remember. I don't really follow that much, but all of them seem to have their own music, their own theme. And then, you know, there was a moment where Alita was with Mickey James, and they had to look, and all of them had like stories, all of them had a history. And then Ronda Rousey comes in, she and Shayna Baszler had a bit of a like old school kind of like connection in MMA, and that all of that was non-existent in the men's rumble, like absolutely non-existent. And then so the women's had all of that going, and then Charlotte Flair was just like a superwoman. She's a better wrestler than like 99% of the men. She's literally better than 99% of the men in the ring, okay? She's just like kicking people out of the ring with a big boo, and she was just looking like menacing as hell, like athletic as hell as well. And if you think about it, right, the men's rumble had two, you know, a singer and an actor, Johnny Knoxville, you know, in the rumble, right? Like that's two non-wrestlers in the match, whereas the women's, I don't think they had any non-wrestlers in there. Even that IRS lady, she's still a wrestler. She was in the WWE, and you know, it's just like, the women's rumble probably should done the main event, considering how stupidly bad the men's. I guess they had stupidly bad the men's rumble was, and then basically Charlotte Flair was, was looking really menacing, kicking girls out left and right. And then I think you end up with Charlotte Flair facing down Ronda Rousey, and there's like a massive rivalry between them for WrestleMania. And then Ronda Rousey eventually just like eliminates Charlotte Flair. He tries to kick Ronda Rousey. Rousey just like flipped her out. So yeah, the women's rumble was way better than the men's one. And then there was one other match that was really good, was Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. This was awesome match. So first up, Roman came out, obviously, to huge cheers. He's like standing in the ring, and then suddenly the Shields music came on. And you know how the Shields music is like Roman's old entrance music, essentially. So Roman's just like listening to his own entrance music while Seth Rollins walks through the crowd. That was pretty awesome. The only thing I regret for Seth Rollins is he should have got the blonde hair, man. He should have just like, if he had that blonde coloring in the hair, the highlight, it would have been so good. It had such a huge nostalgia hit. And that was great. That was like by far the best match in the pay-per-view as well. That was like Roman, there was like a powerbomb through like the Shield, powerbomb through the table on Roman. And then Seth Rollins like countered one of the Roman spears into a pedigree. And then Roman kicked out like a stomp. And then eventually Seth Rollins kind of won the match, in fact, because Roman caught him in a guillotine, and then Seth Rollins, and this was like really good booking as well. So Seth Rollins looked like he was passed out, right? And the referee to lift his hand up to see if he's passed out, but he was like really close to the ropes, right? So the referee like lifted his hand up, and he basically looked like the referee dropped his hand onto the rope, and then Seth Rollins grabbed the rope. So like, and then the referee was like, you gotta break it up. And Roman was like, nah. And then they got disqualified. But like, just that little detail was so good, right? It was so good. Like, you know, it looked like Seth Rollins was out. And the referee accidentally, as he was doing the dropping his hand to see if he was, you know, limp or not, he dropped the hand onto the rope. And I thought that was really good. So then, yeah, and then like Roman, so that was like by far the best match. And then Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, you see here. This was, again, I thought this was also an incredibly good match. So they kind of like told a story here as well. So like, basically, Lesnar is such a good wrestler, firstly. Like, everything Lesnar did looked like it hurt. And that's just and then he like, Lesnar has never like injured anyone as far as I know, obviously, except for that cut on Orton's face where like obviously that was intense. They booked that to happen, but I don't think he's ever like actually accidentally hurt anybody, not as far as I know. But like everything he does is it's just like all these little things, little details, just so good. Like there was one part where just like there's so many things that he does, just Lesnar does, is just like makes him such a good wrestler, right? Like there was one part where Bobby Lashley was grabbing onto the ropes and Lesnar was trying to pull him out for a suplex, and then Lesnar just like, instead of like most people, they just kind of like yank really hard and then Bobby Lashley just let go. He's like trying to kick Lashley's hand off the ropes as he's pulling him back, right? Imagine he's pulling him back and he's kicking him, trying to kick his hand off the ropes so he can break it. Like just little, I've never seen that before. I've never seen like any wrestler do that before, right? Just little details like that makes like Lesnar so good to watch. And then like, and then there was one bit where Bobby Lashley tried to spear him outside the ring and he crashed through the barricade, and Lesnar is like, I learned, I remembered, I learned. Like just like small details like that just makes him so good. And yeah, that was a really good match. Eventually Lesnar kind of got like Roman, he got Roman came in, did a run-in, takes out Lesnar from behind, like speared him, and then grabs the title from Paul Heyman, knocks Lesnar out, and then walks out with Paul Heyman. And then Bobby Lashley pings Lesnar whilst he was knocked out. So this was like a story that's been told, like Lesnar betrayed by Paul Heyman, and then screwed by Roman. And then that kind of ends up in the Men's Royal Rumble, where he kind of like goes in and wins it for another shot at Roman Reigns, essentially, for the WrestleMania. But yeah, overall, the Men's Royal Rumble, I can see that like, yeah, I can see that's probably why they had the Men's Royal Rumble last. But I felt like the Women's Royal Rumble should have been last. Ronda Rousey returning, pretty big deal. Even though I was spoiled, still pretty exciting to see her. She was really good. And just the overall like storytelling. The wrestling probably, like, Women's Royal Rumble, the wrestling is not, like, some of the girls is not that great, but towards the end, when the big guns were in the ring, Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, Rhea Ripley, and what's her name? Charlotte Flair. Those girls, they're really good. They really look like they know what they're doing. But like, a lot of the girls earlier didn't really look like they know what they're doing, but it doesn't really matter that much anyway, because, still there were stories told. All the girls had their own egos and whatnot that they're all portraying, which was really good. And to be honest, the men's, I can't tell you. Like, they were just like, literally, they're all like same personalities with different outfits on, right? Like, and then also the fact that I recognize some of the girls' entrance music better than the men's. Sasha Banks came out, was like, it was all like way better than the men's Rumble, to be honest, just way better. And and more surprises, better finish, big names. And they should probably finish with the women's Rumble instead of the men's, because, this was a bad one. This men's Rumble was a bad one. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this, and, see you guys again for WrestleMania, I guess.